September 12, 1939. Dear Marg, I am sorry I haven't written you before this, but just couldn't seem to get the time as I have been canvassing Cobalt the last few nights, which means considerable walking as Cobalt is all hills either up or down. I received your letter also card. You didn't say what your golf score was, or shall we skip that? Gosh, I haven't played games for so long I will have forgotten how to play at all. Haven't even been swimming for the last couple of weeks. It's been cold and wet for some time. Makes one think of winter already. Your holidays will be all over by now, won't they? And you will be back at the grind for another year. It's always hard getting back into the harness. I think people should be allowed at least a week to rest up, don't you? Don and Dad called me to help them catch a mouse that was under the kitchen cabinet. Each armed with sticks, and I'm telling you that mouse didn't have a chance. It was a little one-sided, but you know mice. Got a letter from Mother yesterday. She finds it quiet as nearly everyone has left the beach. However, she is getting quite a rest and is able to work around her garden. That alone is recreation enough for Mother. Well, dear, what do you think of the war situation now? You can hear it won or lost on any corner of any town of this North Country. Thanks for offering to come overseas as my private nurse, dear. But if I do go over, I won't need a nurse. I'll either come back whole or not at all, and another thing, I'll fight for the two of us, so that means you stay at home and knit me socks, and that's no idle boast, it's a command. I really would worry, dear, if you joined any organization that would take you out of the country. However, I have made no effort as yet to enlist, so don't worry about me. Well, Marg, enough about the war and enough said regarding you joining any expeditionary force. Here comes Gil in. He has quite a crush on a little girl about a block away and is up there all the time. Last Sunday night he and the girl called for me about 12 o'clock at night, both with long faces. They had driven her father and another man out to Montreal River to fish early that morning, and when they returned at dark there was no sign of them and the canoe was gone. So, they returned to town and hauled me out to look for them, but on our arrival at the river we found them sitting around a fire trying to fry fish and not caring whether anyone called for them or not. So, we all had a feed of fish and came home. I really enjoyed myself. Mother was a little worried about both Gil and Jack as they were kicking around with a couple of French Catholics, but that's all over now. Well, dear, I'm about at the end of my line. Can't think of any more to say unless I started talking about you, and that would take reams of paper. Then again, I would rather wait until I can really talk to you face to face or closer. Write me all about your holidays, etc. As ever. Roger X. September 27, 1939. Dear Marg, your letter of a week ago was forwarded to me in Kirkland Lake Monday. I left there yesterday for Matheson and back to the big town of Raymore this afternoon, and someplace mostly all French, much to my sorrow. However, I leave for Holtire in the morning. Holtire is just a new town built this spring for 2 new mines. They say it's quite a place. They started a recruiting station in Kirkland Lake, but I haven't enlisted yet. I am trying for the Air Force and have seen some of the supposed big shots, but doubt very much if they can do much for me. One has to sit back and wait for developments, I suppose. However, giving them a rise once in a while won't hurt. Thanks, dear, for the snaps. I have them in my vest pocket. They are certainly good of you, Marg. Makes me want to come south to see you. I am certainly glad you won't join any expeditionary forces. A home force would be bad enough. In fact, it's hard to say just where this war will end up at. It could be right in America if Russia allies with Germany. So be a good girl and just stick at your own job. Is it ever cold out? I wish I had my winter coat instead of the fall one. I saw quite a number wearing winter coats yesterday. There was a little skiff of snow in Kirkland Monday morning and freezing every night since. Well, darling, there goes the dinner bell in this big hotel, 6 rooms to be exact, so I had better go and fill my tummy. If I don't get home Sunday, I will write from wherever I am. I will close with an imaginary Cedar Wild special. As ever. Roger XX. October 10, 1939. Dear Marg, here it is Tuesday night, a week since I received your letter. I picked it up on my way to Rouen and Noranda, and until my return home today I haven't had one evening to myself. Even worked Sunday and Monday as the French Sunday is over at 12 o'clock noon and business opens at 1 just like a weekday. There was no holiday Monday. They hold a church day instead, some saints' day next Friday. Boy, these French Catholics sure get under my skin, a continuous chatter about Pope, bishops, priests, and church. People of southern Ontario have no idea just what goes on behind the strings of the church. The people there are divided in two classes. The French Catholic on one side and all the rest of the nationalities on the other. Some of the stuff that is pulled is pretty raw, especially since this war has started. The church preaching against recruiting and conscription while the Canadians want conscription immediately, and believe you me, when it does come into force, the Canadians in Quebec will be the first to press the issue. It will be worse than the riots in Montreal in 1914. Well, now that I have that off my chest, maybe I can come down to earth. I am sorry I didn't answer before, dear, but I have really been busy and so tired I can hardly keep my eyes open. So, your brother has joined the ambulance corps. I imagine that would be interesting work. I am still trying to force the issue regarding the Air Force. My only kickback to date is my age. I feel like an old man at 27 years. I'll get into the force if I have to sprout wings in order to fly. I was talking to a Mountie on the train home this evening and he was telling me about the round-up of all foreigners. Some are so afraid they are going to be sent back to their own country or put in camps. He said the Central and Southern Europeans are the worst. The German and Scandinavian are either nonchalant or surly, they seldom get excited. Gosh dear, this is some letter, jumping all over the place, but still keeping war in mind. It's been over a year since I saw you, isn't it, Marg, and for just one evening. We will have to do better than that, won't we? However, according to your snaps, you haven't changed. I wouldn't want you to change, my dear. Yes, I still carry your snaps in my vest pocket on the left side at that. Well, darling, there isn't much to write about, dear, so very little happens to me of interest. Goodbye for now, Marg. As ever. Roger XXX.